Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a record-breaking edition of Jackpot Tonight. My name is Gary Bogdanski, and I'm part of the team at Boom Fantasy, and I have my co-host and Boom CEO, Steve Murphy, here as well. How's it going, Steve?
Going well, Gary. We've got NBA, we've got Tiger, we've got March Madness, and of course, we have jackpots. It's good to
Oh,
be here.
yeah, no, we got lots of jackpots tonight.
Yeah, so for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is Jackpot Tonight, our nightly live streaming show where we talk about the mighty dollar jackpot and all the jackpots that are on Boom Fantasy. We also talk about what's going on in the world of sports. Today was a pretty big day with the March Madness brackets revealed, as well as, of course, Tiger's glimpse of past glory. Before we get into the general sports stories, let's get right into the jackpots because they are getting up there. I think already tonight's mighty dollar jackpot, the $1 jackpot, was at one of its highest totals ever. Gary, we have a real contender right now, don't we?
Yeah, no, for sure. Let me pull this up as I speak with you, but yeah, no, we've had a lot of contenders throughout the day. The jackpot started with golf this morning, as well as the early NBA slate and NASCAR, and you'll see a bunch of 304s. But for those who are watching closely, we had a couple people who had near misses, and I mean, for those of you who don't have a winner yet, we're fortunate yet, but we easily could have had 3 or 4 winners tonight if things broke slightly differently.
Yeah, not just a few, 14 as of right now, 14 people who have gone or are currently 3 of 4. And for those of you who, again, are maybe new to Boom, the jackpots are simple. To win the big prize, you need to go perfect. And that means getting the correct answer on each question. Ties don't count as correct. And so for the Mighty Dollar Jackpot, it's quite doable. It's 4 questions, but there's not always a winner every day. And when there's not a winner, the prize rolls over to the next day. It gets even bigger. We haven't had a winner for a few days now, which means that the Mighty Dollar Jackpot is at $678.50. If there's one winner tonight, I think that's the third highest total ever, which, again, would be pretty exciting. And right now, we do have a few contenders in the mix.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of people, and some of them are buried because this Cavs Lakers slate just started off. And we have a couple people who were 3 or 4 as well, but I'm looking for the one person now. Somebody was 2 of 4 in the second NBA slate of the day, and they were super close. So I'm drawing a blank on the name now. Do you see that one, Steve?
Let's see. I know it was going to come down to Oladipo. I think it was Rin Tenoch.
Yes,
He's 2 of 4. RHINTENACH. So right now, he's got Eric Gordon locked in for the lightning bolt. So he nailed it with 26 points. And as you longtime Boom players know, that is by far the most difficult question of the slate. So he has already gotten that, nailed it. He's in very good shape for question 3, which is assists. He has Chris Paul. Dinwiddie has 6 at halftime, so he'll have to watch out for that. But let's assume he has Chris Paul right. Then you go up and you have rebounds in question 2. He has Embiid with 7 at halftime. Embiid is the favorite in that category. He's down 2 right now to Turner, who's in the fourth quarter. So we'll see if he can overcome that. But his chances are very good. You actually have to like his chances in the rebounds category of knocking that down. And then it comes down to Oladipo. And I think Oladipo will be the closest call for him. Oladipo has 20 points with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Russell is ahead of him with 26 at halftime, and Embiid has 21 at halftime. So both those guys are having big games. But if they can slow down and Oladipo can finish with a big fourth quarter here, we could be seeing Rin Tenoch, if I'm pronouncing his handle right, as our big winner tonight.
Yeah, no, we'll see how it plays out. And Oladipo has some work to do, but like you said, Embiid is looking good, and I mean, even though he's behind in that now, you got to feel good about his chances. But yeah, like you said, kind of nailing that fourth question is definitely the hardest question in the slate. So he's definitely done the hard work before, and we actually had to go about and change the slate, where usually we kind of once we post a contest we don't change it, but we actually realized yesterday that Harden was going to be out tonight after we had the contest. So Harden was actually originally in this spot, and then when we kind of heard the rumor that Harden was going to be out, we actually scrambled and changed the contest and put Gordon in there to give everybody a chance to go 4 for 4 today.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. Yeah, we know players get bummed sometimes when that lightning bolt question gets scratched. We do our best to choose a player that we believe will start. Occasionally, it's unavoidable with the NBA and their late scratches. But kudos to the operations team, which Gary leads, for making that change and giving a lot of people a chance to go perfect 4 for 4 tonight. As we start off the show, 14 people, 3 of 4 right now. Most of those have already finished. They're locked at 3 of 4, so they're not going to win the big prize. But a few of them still in contention. It should be a pretty wild Sunday night as people go for these jackpots. And the Mighty Dollar is only one of them. Again, for those of you just joining us, I'm Steve Murphy, co-founder and CEO of Boom Fantasy, with Gary Bogdanski, head of operations for Boom. And this is a nightly live streaming show we do. We don't do it every single night, but we do it most nights. And we talk about what needs to happen for there to be a jackpot winner. Our jackpot contests are very different than other fantasy contests. There's not always a winner. And when there isn't, that just means the prizes get really big. Because if no one wins tonight, the prizes roll over and become even bigger the next night. And so as a result, for a very small buy-in, $1, $2, $4, you can win up to $1 million. It's pretty exciting. We really focus on the $1 and $2 jackpots because those have the most winners. We usually crown 2 to 3 winners a week. So we talk most about them. But we also skim the bigger jackpots. I noticed in the $1 million jackpot, there were 2 individuals who cashed, who got, I believe, 5 of 9, and that doubles your money in the $1 million jackpot. It's one of those jackpots where if you go 9 for 9, you win $1 million. But then there's prizes for 8 of 9 down to 5 of 9. And last week, I believe we had someone go 7 of 9 in that for $150. So it's not just winner take all, but for these small 4-question slates, it is. So it's great to have you joining us. Feel free to participate in the chat. We'll check out the questions and respond to them in a little bit.
Yeah, and this dollar jackpot, we have over 100 entries in this late Cavs Lakers slate, which is just getting started, so it's kind of tough to tell what's going on there. But if nobody wins tonight, that dollar jackpot tomorrow is going to go to somewhere in the very high 800s to maybe even as low as $900. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's definitely going to be over $890, and it might even hit $900 tomorrow.
And to remind you guys, I'm going to pull it up now. The largest Mighty Dollar jackpot in history was about $2,100, but it was split between 2 players, and so the top total is $1,082 for someone to win in the Mighty Dollar. If we hit 900 tomorrow, we'll see if, again, lots to have happen. I think there's a good chance someone will still take it down tonight. We're getting up there to a record amount. This is already one of our largest amounts, and if there's not a winner tonight or tomorrow, it could be the biggest for a solo winner. So exciting time for those of you who like to keep it simple, like to keep it low, and like to bet $1 at a time.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to Thursday. Today we had a bunch of slates. I think we had it was 5 different games people could enter. We had 3 different NBA contests, NASCAR and PGA. But I can't wait for Thursday. Thursday is going to be a lot of fun. Thursday the NCAA tournament starts, and we're going to have a slate for every block of games. So come Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to have probably 6 to 7 basketball slates a day for the Mighty Dollar jackpot. 4 NCAA ones and kind of 2 to 3 NBA ones per day. So it's gonna, I think somebody will likely win before then, but if no one does, we're going to see this thing really climb very quickly in the coming days. And you mentioned that 2,000 number. If it gets to the weekend, we might see a number higher than that.
I'm noticing in the chat, BHAS 1993, Tiger Woods ruined my day. Because obviously we work for Boom, not only do we not play on Boom, we don't play on any fantasy site. So I don't have to go through the roller coaster ride that a lot of you players do. But Tiger Woods made my day. This was the first day in 5+ years I watched an entire round of golf. I had other stuff going on, but I was literally had the Golf Channel to NBC on from Tiger teeing off to finishing. It may be at least 5 years. It could be a decade since that's happened. Gary, were you able to watch any of Tiger today?
I watched a little bit of it, not as much as I wanted to. I got to see a win from him before I start dedicating my Sunday to him. But no, it's great to see him back, and I'm sure the ratings. You said it was on NBC?
Yeah.
I'm sure NBC loved that nice gift of Tiger today, which I'm sure gave a nice boost to their ratings.
Yeah, I forget who the sponsor was. It was like some like paint company or something. But they interviewed the head of this company on NBC, and he looked like embarrassed at how many people were paying attention to the golf tournament because Tiger Woods came out of nowhere. He like couldn't believe his riches. Like it was probably like 5x the ratings and the audience he was expecting. But yeah, golf is obviously a lot more fun, a lot more exciting with Tiger relevant. So he's getting hot at the right time. We expect the Masters to be a very big week here at Boom. So yeah, but before that, before we get ahead of ourselves, March Madness is fast approaching, and that should provide a lot of opportunities for people to win big. So be on the lookout for our March Madness slates very soon.
And I am hearing from Brian, our producer, that if nobody wins the Mighty Dollar Jackpot tonight, tomorrow's jackpot will be $892.
Hey now.
Not bad. Not bad for a dollar.
Yeah, not too shabby at all. Biha saying tonight's progressive looking good so far. I assume he means the $2 progressive.
I think he does. That's it. I think that's his favorite. One of my favorites too. But yeah, he's been close to that a bunch of times.
Is the 8-question version of this? It's a little bit harder, obviously, going from 4 to 8 questions. But it's $2 right now. It's a grand prize pool of $36,000, $639. And we actually think that, although it's hard to win, we actually think that's pretty good value. That jackpot actually started at $5,000. It's grown all the way up to $36,000. We've had 4 7 of 8s, but no one has cracked it yet. So that's a fun one for those of you who don't mind throwing a few entries out, with the realization that it's tough to win.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm looking at it now. It looks like B-Haas has 5 entries, all based on this Lakers Celtics game, and they're off to a good start. I mean, obviously you got to get these final 2 questions; those are what make or break you. But you also got to get these other questions right, and he seems to be off to a hot start in those. And the great thing about that contest is that if someone like B. Haas or someone else does manage to go 8 of 8, everyone in the slate wins a prize. So I see some people who are final with like 2 of 8 or 3 of 8, and they probably think they lost. And at this point, they did. But if somebody manages to go 8 of 8 today, they're going to wake up with some found money in their account tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I can't wait till we have a $2 progressive win. I'm rooting for you, B-Haas. We're eager to actually have someone win that, just so we can kind of like promote it a little bit, because we think that that's a very fun contest. But it's been a little while since we had a winner, so. It's at a grand total of 36,000 right now. Someone's going to hit it one of these days. Probably as the NBA season progresses, people will have more and more opportunities. And Gary, how was your weekend? Going off sports for a little bit.
Yeah, let me think. Pretty exciting. Nothing too crazy. Both kids had a cold, so that was when you have sick kids, that's always a challenge. But as some of you are aware, I had this giant tree fall in front of my house with this nor'easter, so the lovely town of Wayne, New Jersey, has not picked up that tree yet. So I'm not too thrilled. I am not too thrilled with them. In Wayne, you pay a decent property tax bill, so I would have expected this giant tree on my property to be picked up, and it has not yet. So just kind of waiting that out tomorrow. They might get a nasty phone call tomorrow if it's not picked up.
You should just build like a tremendously large tree house out of the wood from that tree.
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking a dive and just suing them, but unfortunately, it's my own property, so I guess I'd be suing myself.
Yeah, today was an adventure for me. Today we had it was a very bloody day. So as longtime watchers of this show know, I've got 2 little kids, and 2 little kids are just like a recipe for disaster, right? And so they were fine, but my wife had a tough day. So she woke up today. She slammed her finger shut in a door. Never fun. Blood everywhere.
Probably your fault,
she has pretty high pain tolerance, so when you hear her scream, not good. But it was fine. She put some ice on it. She sucked it up. She moved on. And then this afternoon, our 1-year-old basically pulled like a Mike Tyson, like bit her nose. And again, blood everywhere. Again, she's fine. It didn't come off or anything. But she had a tough day. She broke out a beer early, and I did not begrudge her for that.
I'm sure she's very excited that you'll be heading back to the office tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I know one of us is. Yeah, so a lot going on. I'm looking at this Pacers Celtics game, 3:47 left. How's Oladipo doing?
He's still at 20 points. I mean, he's. I'm not sure if he's going to get 7 points in this final 4 minutes here. It looked like he had a fair shot going into it, but he's probably not going to get 7 points in this last 4 minutes. So I have a feeling he's not going to get it done, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, that's not what Ren Knock wants to hear. When we were going on the air, he seemed like he had a very strong chance of going 4 for 4 in this jackpot, but with each passing minute, it's looking less and less likely for him. And so, yeah, I hope you guys have noticed. Now you can track all 6 jackpots in the water cooler. We think that's a pretty cool new addition. Big props to our engineering and development team for getting that done. We're going to continue to sort of soup up that section and make it better and better, add some additional features. But I think it's already pretty awesome. And so that's a lot of fun. So big kudos to the guys, specifically Josh and Orpheus, who worked on that. So that was awesome.
Yeah, no, that came out great, and it kind of gives you a nice snapshot of what's going on. Because, like I said, I hate to say it, but part of the Mighty Dollar Jackpot is definitely kind of on the. If you're not going to win, hoping nobody else wins, so it keeps going up. So it's
you're rooting more than hoping. You're rooting for everyone else to lose, right?
So I hate to be rooting against people, but at this point, if you're not playing on a given day, it's always nice to be able to check in and see how it's going and see if anyone is going to take it down. But yeah, no, it's fun.
It's amazing. And these main Sunday slates, they're coming to an end here. We had the one cash in the $1 million jackpot. Someone doubled their money. But it looks like, knock on wood for those people who are rooting for this, that it's going to come down to the Cavs-Lakers game to see if someone can take it down.
Yeah, and those I like those single games just because they're so easy to keep an eye on what's going on. Where we try and throw a couple in during the week, but with one game, you really just watch that one game, sit back and enjoy it, and you're not kind of comparing apples to apples. So these are always my favorite slates to watch and keep an eye on.
No joke. I'm looking at B Haas's entry in the $2 progressive, and he's right. That's actually, he's got some good stuff going on here. So right now he's 4 of 8, and so that means he's winning 4 outright. So let's just for the sake of argument give him those 4. And then let's look at the 4 that he's not winning. He's got Nance for rebounds, who's tied with LeBron for the lead at 3. He's got LeBron for assists, who right now has 0. Isaiah Thomas has 3, but LeBron's the favorite in that category. So there's a very realistic chance that he quickly catches up and surpasses there. And then in the Lightning Bolt questions, he's got Jordan Clarkson for 17 points, right on target. He's got 4 at the end of the first quarter. And then for LeBron, he has 29 points, and LeBron's got 10 at the end of the first quarter. So a very reasonable total for him. If I were B. Haas, I'd be pretty excited too after my first quarter here.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, I would say besides the LeBron assists, which I think will pick up at some point, he's basically going as well as it could have for this point. I mean,
yeah, that's a great start. He mentioned that in the chat, and I was like, I'm kind of curious, and that's a real strong start. Obviously, lots to go, lots of variables, even the categories he's winning. They may not shake out that way. But that will be a fun one to track throughout the night. Yeah,
no, without a question. And the great thing about the $2 progressive is since it is 8 questions, it's a little bit harder. We do give you a little more flexibility on those last 2 questions. Where in the Mighty Dollar Jackpot you have to get the exact number, but in the $2 progressive it's ±1. So if he guessed 29 for LeBron, if LeBron gets anywhere from 28 to 30, he's going to win that one. So there's a little more room for error in this contest.
Yeah, Bihas, if you win, so again, it's 36 grand. I'm not sure the exact total that goes to you, because 3,600 goes to everybody. It's split evenly. I think 3,600 starts the new jackpot. So I think the winner of this gets 80% of whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not good at math, but it's probably like high 28, 29,000, whatever it is. I think you have to go to Vegas at that point.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think that's the rule.
And the other funny thing is he has a couple entries in this $2, so he'll get a piece of that 10% that's being split among everybody else. So it's not just players; it's actually based on entries. So
That's right.
if he has 4 of the 50 entries, he'll get 4/50ths of that 10% as well too. So he's looking at a little more than 80% if he does take it down. Excuse me. But yeah,
Bless
no, I
you.
mean there is a long way to go. But like you said, he basically is looking close to as he can at this point, and he's got a couple entries. I mean, he's got 5 entries, so he probably has a couple different combinations of in the same family of answers.
What's the max number? Do you know offhand, Gary? What's the max number of entries you're allowed to put in per slate in the $2 progressive?
Sure. So all of these slates have a max entry of 5 per player per game. Occasionally we'll do something special, like where we might allow someone to do 10, like the Super Bowl or an All-Star game. But traditionally, it's going to be a maximum of 5 per slate. And when I say per slate, I mean per game. So if we have like tomorrow NBA Monday and NBA Monday night, which is 2 different blocks of games, you're allowed to put 5 entries into both of those.
And for those of you who are new players at Boom Fantasy, I want you to take note of that. 5 per slate is a pretty small number. I want to compare ourselves. We don't like to mention them by name, but those bigger fantasy sports sites, they let you put up 150 entries, 150 for most slates. If you're not putting in 100 plus entries, you're at a huge disadvantage because you have these pros who really stack, core possibilities, and it's really difficult to win. So, we're definitely as a company, we're definitely giving up a little bit of money by stopping it at 5 entries per player per slate. But we just think it's a more fun system. It allows just normal players who want to put in a few entries a day to compete and have a realistic chance of winning. So we do it very differently. I think it's something that players don't realize when they start how different it is. But it's a huge differentiator, and I think it's one of the reasons that makes Boom different and makes Boom great.
Yeah, no, I mean, you mentioned like the maximum of 5 entries. I mean, especially when these jackpots get up here, I think if we allowed it, truthfully, we'd probably have people who put 40 or 50 entries in these contests, and that's just not what we're trying to do. I mean, we definitely want to give people the opportunity to put in a few more than one if they want to, but we kind of want this to be a casual, fun game, so we're not looking to let anybody kind of put in 50 entries to kind of come up with basically every combination known to man. We just want to keep this casual and kind of give everyone basically the same level of a chance to win.
So, Gary, I don't want to ruin your headphone setup, but I'm looking in the background of your shot. Maybe I can see this a little bit more easily because Gary's on a laptop. For you guys, he's probably smaller in front. But is that laundry in the background? You got red container, blue container. Maybe you just have stuff that you need to put away. Maybe the missus just said, "Hey, when you're finished with this, get to work."
That is actually. Are you familiar with the TV show PJ Masks, the kids show?
I'm not actually.
Oh man, it has a pretty catchy theme song, but that's the PJ Masks kind of I guess center. It's my son's toy.
Okay, fair enough. All right, jumping into these slates. Has there been any? So it looks like Oladipo just. I don't know if that game's final yet. But it doesn't seem like he's getting it done. I'm gonna check right now to see where people stand. But yeah, it looks like all of our 3 of 4s are people who have already completed so far in the Mighty Dollar.
Yeah, no, 4 slates down, 4 blocks down today, only 1 to go, pretty much. The only one. Oh, Oladipo's up to 25, Steve. So I mean,
is he really? Yeah.
But unfortunately, Embiid has 8 rebounds, so I'm not sure if Embiid's going to pick up 3 rebounds here in the final minute. But Russell still has a couple minutes to go as well. But actually, he might even be out of the game. But yeah, I have the Nets game on here, and it looks like he's actually out of the game. So I guess it is
Who's
possible.
out of the game? Oladipo?
Yeah, but
or Russell.
Russell's out of the game, but Embiid.
Well, that's great news for Oladipo for Rentinok, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, the 76ers are up like 26 or 4 minutes to go, so Embiid's out of the game. So he's not gonna. That second question, I don't think Embiid's coming back in the game, so I don't think he'll get up to 11 rebounds.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's the tough one. Because although that's great for Rentinok for points, that is the opposite of great for him for rebounds, right? It's tough when it's actually, I'm far from a strategist when it comes to fantasy contests. Gary actually has a much more analytical background than me. He was a professional poker player. He was a big fantasy player before joining Boom. How much is that? Our contests are obviously very different, where you're choosing between 4 athletes at a time. But Gary, do you think you should factor in, the players that overlap between slate 1 and slate 2? That, like, hey, if it's a blowout, you want one of these guys to be out of the game, because I'm looking at Ridden T-Knox entry, and in some ways, like, the Embiid, in one option he would want him to sit, and the other option he would want him to play. He found himself in a tough position there. Is that just unlucky, or do you think there can be some strategy around picking players that sort of that you're more careful about choosing a player that you're both rooting for and against?
It's a tough situation. I mean, I think there definitely is some unluckiness here, but I do think you want to, when you're playing and you're making your picks, you do want to kind of paint the picture of what's going to happen in a game, for example, where if you think Embiid's going to get a ton of rebounds and you think he's going to kind of have more than he normally gets, and if he's just going to finish much higher than someone else, if he's getting more rebounds, there's probably a likely chance that he's probably going to have a lot more points too. So I don't think it has to happen, and he didn't do it here, and it wouldn't have worked out anyway. But I do like the strategy. If you're going to pick Embiid in points in the first question, you do consider picking him for rebounds as well, because very often those things are going to go together, and if one thing happens, the other thing's going to happen as well. Like, very often I look at things where, like, if you think LeBron's going to have a ton of assists in a game, you might look for Kevin Love or someone else on the team to have a lot of points, just because those assists are going to go somewhere. And if LeBron has all these assists, someone's going to get those points. So it's good to kind of keep that in mind. And it's definitely not a surefire way to win, and it's definitely not necessary to win. But I think the more you try and, like, kind of think from, like, a higher level, just to kind of think of, like, the whole game and what's going to happen, and try and find a way to correlate your picks. It doesn't always have to happen, but I saw one player a few nights ago. He was in the $1 million jackpot, and he picked a total for one player. He picked a total for 2 different players, and whatever totals he picked in the first question, those same 2 players were heads up for points. And he picked a combination where it was literally impossible for him to win before the game even started. And this was a very good player. So, I mean, you have to be careful just to kind of make picks where, like, the outcome is possible.
Yeah, for sure. And we see that strategy, that sort of, like, correlation of picks, if you will, where you really, if you choose one teammate, you should choose the other teammate in a different category. We see that a lot in our NFL contests, right? If you're predicting Odell Beckham to have a big game for the Giants when he's not injured, you also predict a good game for Eli Manning, right? Yeah, a lot of QB wide receiver combos.
Yeah, and Eli Manning's the best quarterback in the NFL, so I mean, I'm a big Giants fan, so naturally you should always think he's gonna have a big game. But yeah, no, I
think Eli's gonna have a rebound year next year. I'm optimistic.
I do, yeah, but it always makes sense to try and correlate your picks whenever possible, because at the end of the day, you're trying to go 4 for 4 in this contest, or 8 for 8 in the progressive jackpot, where at the end of the day, if you're wrong, whether you go 3 for 4 or 1 for 4, obviously it's more fun to go 3 for 4, but at the end of the day, it almost really doesn't matter if you go 3 for 4 or 1 for 4, so you really want to try and make selections where they can all come true.
B. Haas is saying that he's asking if we want to come to Vegas with him and Joel if he wins. I'll tell you what, B. Haas, if you win the $2 progressive, not only will I come out to Vegas, I will treat you to a nice steak dinner. So, and Gary, you're welcome to join me as well. I know Gary loves his Vegas time as much as I do.
Oh man, I gotta say, if there was ever a weekend to go to Vegas, this weekend coming up for the NCAA tournament,
this is it.
It's definitely the weekend. So, B. Haas, let's go. I don't know what you can do to make these picks come true. I'm not sure if you can get on a plane to LA and motivate these guys, but good luck.
Yeah, nothing would give us greater joy than to wire that $36,000. Seriously, we're really looking for a winner in that $2 progressive. We've had so many close calls.
Yeah.
And we're really rooting for someone to take it down.
Yeah, I'd even go as far as promising the big giant check as well.
Ooh, hey now. Big giant checks are always fun. Always fun. Um, yeah, Gary, you missed a good golf tournament. I'm telling you, the Tiger being back it's I dare say it's magical. He I don't know if you tracked it much, but he was going in. He needed two birdies in the final two holes, and he only had one birdie in the first 16 holes, so it wasn't looking good at all. And he nailed a 45-foot putt on hole 17 to give himself at least a chance going into 18. It's just like, that doesn't happen with other people. I still wasn't able to get it done, but having Tiger playing a competitive golf tournament and only lose by a stroke definitely makes me excited for the Masters again. And I've told you, I don't think he has much left in the tank. I'm worried he's going to get injured again. I think he's played 2 straight weeks. He's playing again next week. But it makes golf that much more interesting. I was thinking about just like superstars, right? You obviously had Michael Jordan, the GOAT up until 98. And then right as Jordan was ending, you had Tiger. And there was almost like a seamless, there was always a superstar. And then when Tiger became irrelevant, LeBron sort of, held the torch. As LeBron starts to end his career, and again, we may have a couple good years of LeBron yet, but as LeBron ends his career and as Tiger gets older, there's no one really in sight to become that sort of global phenomenon. So I'm actually afraid that we may enter a sports ice age in the next 10 years.
Steve has no confidence in Aaron Judge. Steve has been the biggest Aaron Judge hater.
A baseball player is going to be a global phenomenon. You're out of your mind.
Guys, I don't know why. I don't know what Aaron Judge did to Steve in a past lifetime, but Steve, for some reason, is not an Aaron Judge fan. And he's
not Babe Ruth. He's pretty big, though.
How many home runs would he have to hit this year for you to say he could be the next, megastar of sports?
74.
74. Guys gonna hit 70 home runs.
64. It is what, the second and a half season or whatever this technically counts as. Then I would get excited.
And just to go back
to baseball. It's just listen, and I love baseball. I'm a Mets fan. I love going to baseball games. I actually enjoy watching baseball games. It's tough to create a global star out of a baseball, right? It's just golf is played in lots of countries. Basketball is now played in lots of countries. Baseball still isn't.
I agree it's going to be very hard, but he'll hit 80 home runs this year, and you'll still be telling us how he's not that good. And I
hope so. But yeah, for those of you who again are not too familiar with Boom Fantasy, maybe you're new to Boom. I'm Steve Murphy. I'm the CEO of Boom. That's Gary. He's head of operations of Boom, and we're based in New York City. So. Gary technically lives in New Jersey, but our office is based in New York City. So it's actually really fun when the Yankees are good. I was excited that the Yankees were good the past year and making a playoff run, even though I'm a Mets fan, just because the city is alive when the Yankees are kind of on fire. So I'm rooting for them. I think the city is more electric when the Yankees are good, but he's not going to be LeBron James.
Oh no one's going to be LeBron James. LeBron James is one of a kind, but I think he could be. We'll see. I think he could be the next superstar of sports. But I agree that to do that in baseball is going to be really, really challenging. And I don't want to rub any salt in the wound, but Oladipo did get up to 27 points in that first question.
Brutal. Yeah, that is brutal. So he effectively is going to finish with 3 or 4 then.
Yes. Embiid has a hoodie on, so I don't think he's coming back in the game. But yeah, he's gonna.
I think they just called it final. It looks like.
Yeah, so he's gonna finish 3 or 4.
Oh, Rintinak, our heart goes out to you tonight. I think you were definitely the closest so far. Maybe in the early days of this jackpot, we had a tie ruin a couple of people's nights, but nailed Eric Gordon lightning bolt at 26. Got Chris Paul for assists. Got Oladipo late with points with a 1-point win. If he had just chose Turner over Embiid, he would have gotten it done. But Turner was a long shot. I'm looking at that. That was a D choice. So we rank all of our selections, A, B, C, and D. A is obviously, it's the favorite. B is another favorite. D is the biggest underdog. So the fact that Turner took it down, pretty surprising.
Yeah, no, I don't think most people saw that coming, and I don't even know if there's how somebody could have reasonably got to that answer. So I mean, you definitely can't blame him for going with Embiid. And I mean, and if you click on his profile, you see Rintek. He's the 42nd ranked player on Boom. So I mean, he has some experience. He knows what he's doing. So I mean, I think that was
He's a good player.
a very logical choice tonight, and really just kind of unlucky.
Yeah, Embiid only 8 rebounds. You definitely expect a bigger total from him there. But as you mentioned, the game got out of hand, and that certainly plays a major factor in these contests.
Yeah.
So for those of you rooting for the field, rooting against everyone else, that's a big hold for you guys. So now we're going to the late slate. We're going to the late game. We're seeing if anyone can take it down here. If no one does, the $1, the mighty dollar jackpot, will reach $892 on Monday. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, that's pretty exciting. And, I mean, it goes without saying, if nobody wins on Monday, it'll definitely be 4 figures on Tuesday.
You know, March Madness was, the brackets were selected today. I didn't watch. I saw on Twitter that people hated the selection process. Apparently, they drew it out as long as they possibly could.
No,
but,
actually,
I think if March Madness. Go ahead. Did you watch?
Yeah, no, actually, the opposite happened. What they did this year was I think last year somebody leaked the bracket in the middle of the show, and NCAA and CBS were not too thrilled with that. So what they actually did this year was, right away they gave you all the teams and told you who was in and who was out. So within the first 5 minutes of the show, they said these are the 68 teams, and but yeah, you are kind of right where they did say they did take the full time to kind of give you the full bracket, but within the first 5 minutes of the show, you knew whether your team.
So why was everyone hating on it then?
I think just either a combination of change or the full bracket itself took maybe 2 hours to get out there, but your team knew within the first 5 minutes if you were in or out. And I'm actually going to be sporting the Seton Hall shirt on Jackpot tonight until they're eliminated. So we'll
So do they play Thursday? So you'll wear it till Thursday?
I'm not sure if they play Thursday or Friday, but yeah, so maybe hopefully Friday, so I can wear this shirt for a few more days and be proud of my alma mater.
When Loyola Marymount makes the tournament, I will also sport that, but I think we have another few years before that happens. What seed is Seton Hall?
They're an 8 seed, so I think if they win their first game, they'll play Kansas in the second round. So that's always a challenge. But
Kansas has a history though of underperforming in the tournament, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, no, I've watched a few games, and they could definitely get blown out the first game, and I wouldn't be shocked if they beat Kansas either. So we'll see how it goes. But I think they're in trouble. Actually, they're based on those NCAA findings. I think they're going to get slapped on the wrist for some bad behavior in the past, but hopefully not.
Yeah, well, that's probably a lot of teams that are contenders for March Madness. That's what happens when you don't pay players who generate a lot of money for schools. World Cup is expanding. From was it 32 teams to like 50 something or 48 in not this World Cup but the next one. Do you think March Madness ever expands from 68 to like 128?
I think they've talked about it, but I think going to 68 was probably. I mean, they might. I mean, I guess if the TV money is there, I guess anything is possible. But I don't know. It seems like a good number, and although I would love another weekend of this tournament, I suspect it's not going to happen. But you never know. I mean,
there are still some good teams who don't get in. Like you look at St. Mary's. St. Mary's is West Coast Conference, so that's why I'm sporting them. They were ranked in the top 25 last week. They made it to the conference finals. They lost to Gonzaga, which they pretty much do every year, right? That's their exact trend every single year. 20-plus wins, lose to Gonzaga in the conference finals, and often they make a tourney run. But they were a bubble team this year. There are still a lot of good teams that don't make it in.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that Tuesday game. They've kind of like made it like so like amateurish, and I don't know. It never feels like the tournament to me. It just kind of feels like a raw deal for those teams who get stuck playing on Tuesday night.
I agree.
But with that said, we will have contests for Tuesday night, of course.
That's it. You can win $1 million by putting in an entry. So worth watching this year. All right. Before we sign off, Gary, you want to look at tomorrow's contest and see if there's any one question you think you may provide a pearl of wisdom on?
Sure. Let me hop ahead. I really do like Capella in that rebounds question, the second question. Just he averages so many more rebounds than the other guys. So I mean, again, in the jackpot, you don't get bonus points for an answer being a favorite. So I would definitely lean towards Capella in that second question.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for Jackpot tonight. Again, if no one takes it down the late slate, the mighty dollar will go to 892. Obviously, the other progressives will go up accordingly. We'll have the phone numbers update at 5 a.m. in the morning for those of you early birds out there. And it'll be a big day tomorrow. If no one takes it down tonight, expect a very big day tomorrow as people go for some of these record-breaking jackpots. It'll be a lot of fun to watch, and we'll certainly be back here to talk about it. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, I'm Steve Murphy, CEO of Boom, with Gary Bogdanski. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, good luck to everybody in the rest of the night. B. Haas, I'll be rooting for you in this $2 progressive, and look forward to seeing you on Vegas on Thursday.
Yeah, the $2 progressive is actually really the thing to watch. If no one wins the mighty dollar, as that Lakers game goes deep, we'll see if B. Haas can take it down.
Yeah.
He has a chance.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't want to make any promises, but I would say if he has a chance with a couple minutes to go in the game, we might be back tonight on Jackpot tonight. There might be Jackpot tonight, part two tonight if he has a chance.
For sure. I will jump back on if we're midway through the fourth quarter and that looks like a very strong possibility. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it.
Sounds good. Have a good night, guys. All right, we're off.